17th century onwards. And at the time of after the Swedish flood and the need for reparation from the town, the city hall is taking money, a loan from a Jew called Moshe, of course, and to repair the town. And he lives outside of town, and he gets a permission to live in town until the debt is repaid, so he can make sure that they're not escaping with his money, but to make sure what's being done with the money. And so there are accounts of Jews even from the 16th or early 17th century. But first census of the crown, 1765, there are 75 Jews living in Czestochowa.
1765.
75 Jews. It's about nothing. Around 1800, 1808, if I remember correctly, Czestochowa Jewish community gets an independent status and is no longer under the Jewish community of Janów. Around 1798, area for the cemetery is being bought, and around those times, first openings of the synagogue and so on. So basically, the story of Jews in Czestochowa, like a proper Jewish community, starts around 1800. And it starts with 1800. Poland is under occupation. It's not under the Polish crown. Beginning of industrialization, and the community grows, and it grows fast. And it grows fast with the industrialization. In Czestochowa around 1800, they're finding some iron resources, and there are some diggings for iron in the area. It grew less important around 1850-60 when they found a lot of iron around Katowice area and Śląsk. But the first industrial boom happens here much faster. Jewish financiers are coming. Kronenberg is financing the first bank. Henrik Markusfeld, who is like the wealthiest person. Markusfeld. The wealthiest Jews of Czestochowa in the 19th century, is one of the biggest patrons for industry. And Czestochowa has, be careful, there's people here riding the bike. And Czestochowa Jewish community really grows with industry, and it grows on that side. And then the city grows. Though most of the areas, the buildings here, this would be the outskirts of town until 1920, more or less. And we can see the buildings, first that they are, the further we'll go that way, the original building will be lower. People who lived in Czestochowa before the war said elevator in town. Also, the buildings were 3 and 4 stories high.
This area is relatively this area that we're in.
Yes, the buildings here were
From
built.
when approximately?
So older buildings pre-war from about 1920. But some of them you can clearly see that are post-war buildings, or even post-war additions to buildings.
Was there much destruction here during the...
Not so much.
That's what I'm trying to...
When you say here, do you mean Czestochowa or do you mean this part?
Was there a lot of bombing in Czestochowa?
So there were bombings everywhere in Poland, but most of the destruction, bombing causes destruction, but there were no carpet bombings like we know in Dresden or other.
It wasn't a destruction, but there was a war.
Yes. So what I wanted to say is destruction like Warsaw. When things in this part of Europe were destroyed, it's not because of air raids and bombings, and not because of the war itself. Like bombings can cause 10 to 15% of the town damage, but when things like Warsaw, like Minsk in Belarusia, get completely annihilated, it's by urban warfare, by uprising, and especially when urban warfare is meeting repression. what the Germans did in Warsaw is deciding we're not fighting those guerrilla fighters coming from the basements, biting us and going back to the basements. We're burning the place down. And this is what happened in Warsaw in the ghetto uprising, in the Warsaw uprising back in 1944. And Czestochowa did not know such structure in many cases because it was annexed to the Reich. It was annexed, it wasn't occupied Poland, it was part of the German Reich. And those are the original Czestochowa buildings, right? 2 stories high, not very big. This is kind of similar to the building we'll see later at number 7. Number 20, where the store, family store.
Oh, you haven't got my scarf in your bag.
These entrances that they have, I saw it in Warsaw also, like if you go into the buildings like this, why were they, what was behind it? It was not for horses or anything, was it?
It's a Florentine courtyard.
Sorry?
It's a Florentine courtyard.
Courtyard,
They're all
okay.
built with zero building line, and so internally there's a
That's how they did it.
Yeah,
Just to get into the courtyard.
I don't think it's a Florentine
No,
tradition or something like
talking
this.
about Israeli Florentine.
Okay. This is it's called like a courtyard buildings, or in Polish kamienica. There's one entrance that goes inside, and lives in the buildings are happening around the courtyard, and it's very comfortable because before central sewage, before venting in the apartments, everything that was smelly and not nice was done outside. Cooking was done outside. In many cases, toilets were done outside, early 19th century and so on. And outside was easy to transfer goods, coal, potatoes, and so on. And then and this was the meeting place. The world met the building through the gate. And this is basically how all, not only Poland, I think if you take France and East,
France.
all places are built like this, around the courtyard, and here it's relatively small. We'll get to the old town and then we'll see it behaved a little differently, because there it was more wooden buildings until the war, and then the destruction is also on a different scale. Right now we see kind of a lot of original pre-war buildings. The more we'll go east, we'll see less and less.